In the game of power, where moral ideals often clash with practical realities, what does it truly mean to be a ruler? Should a leader stay loyal to principles and promises? Or is there room for flexibility when it comes to the greater good of the state? This dilemma lies at the heart of Machiavelli's famous quote: "A prudent ruler ought not to keep faith when by doing so it would be against his interests." In this statement, the Italian philosopher and political strategist offers a pragmatic and even controversial perspective on leadership, one that prioritizes the stability and success of the state over moral obligations and personal ethics. It's a stark reminder that, in the world of power and politics, the pursuit of self-interest often trumps adherence to principles. In this essay, we will unpack Machiavelli's argument, explore the complexities surrounding the interplay between ethics and power, and delve into why Machiavelli's words still hold weight in modern-day leadership. From Realpolitik to the challenges of navigating a morally complex world, we will explore the foundational ideas that continue to shape political thought. So, let's embark on this journey together and uncover the pragmatic philosophy of leadership that has influenced centuries of rulers, strategists, and thinkers. Before we dive deep into Machiavelli's philosophy, let me take a moment to welcome you to the Unfolding Journey, a channel where we explore the intersection of politics, philosophy, history, and the timeless lessons of leadership. Whether you're an aspiring leader, a student of history, or simply someone intrigued by the complexities of human behavior and power, you've come to the right place. Here, we engage in thought-provoking discussions and analyses that peel back the layers of history to reveal how lessons from the past are still relevant to our world today. From Machiavellian insights to modern-day political strategies, our goal is to help you understand the forces that shape decision-making in the corridors of power. So, if you're passionate about unraveling the mysteries of leadership, governance, and human nature, be sure to hit the subscribe button and join us on this intellectual journey. There's much more to come, and we would love for you to be part of this unfolding exploration. Niccolò Machiavelli, the 16th century political philosopher, is often regarded as the father of modern political science. His seminal work, The Prince, has endured centuries of scrutiny, discussion, and debate. While some view him as a ruthless cynic, others acknowledge his sharp insight into the nature of power and human behavior. When Machiavelli writes, "A prudent ruler ought not to keep faith when by doing so it would be against his interests," he provides a lens through which we can understand how rulers, particularly in unstable or competitive environments, must prioritize their survival and the welfare of the state over abstract moral principles. At the core of this argument is a profound realization. Politics is not a playground for idealistic virtue. Instead, it is a high-stakes arena where decisions often have far-reaching consequences, and the line between right and wrong can become increasingly blurred. Loyalty, promises, and morality, while important, may at times need to be sacrificed if they jeopardize the stability and strength of the state. For Machiavelli, a ruler's foremost duty is to ensure the survival and prosperity of the state, and this sometimes requires making decisions that would be deemed unethical or deceitful in a different context. The ruler must be flexible, pragmatic, and at times cunning. In this sense, the prince is not bound by the conventional moral codes that govern everyday life. In a world where enemies are constantly scheming and allegiances shift, remaining true to one's word could lead to downfall or irrelevance. Machiavelli's thoughts on political strategy have given rise to a school of thought known as Realpolitik, which emphasizes pragmatic and often ruthless decision-making in the pursuit of power. Unlike idealists who operate based on lofty principles, Realpolitik advocates understand that the political world is full of challenges and competing interests that cannot always be resolved through diplomacy or goodwill. Instead, they focus on making the most strategic decisions possible, often disregarding the moral or ethical implications in favor of achieving practical outcomes. The principles of Realpolitik are inherently in line with Machiavelli's assertion that the ruler must act in their self-interest, even when it involves breaking promises or betraying allies. In Realpolitik, there is no place for naive idealism or adherence to principles that could hinder a leader's ability to act decisively in times of crisis. Realpolitik demands that a ruler be adaptable, flexible, and opportunistic. Power, after all, is not easily gained or retained through idealism alone. For modern-day politicians, Machiavelli's advice has practical applications. In global politics, where alliances can shift quickly and nations must navigate complex economic, military, and social landscapes, rulers must sometimes make decisions that conflict with public expectations or ethical standards. These decisions, while difficult, are often necessary to ensure the survival and prosperity of their nations. Machiavelli's views have been criticized for their perceived cynicism, as they seem to condone manipulation, deceit, and even betrayal in the name of political gain. Critics argue that by focusing so heavily on power dynamics and the survival of the state, Machiavelli neglects the importance of ethics, justice, and the welfare of individuals within the state. Is it truly acceptable for a ruler to break promises, manipulate allies, or deceive the public if it serves the interests of the state? In response to this criticism, it's important to recognize that Machiavelli's ideas are not necessarily an endorsement of unethical behavior, but a reflection of the harsh realities of political life. He was writing at a time when Italy was fractured into competing city-states, each vying for power and survival. In such an environment, moral absolutism was a luxury that many rulers could not afford. Machiavelli's pragmatic approach to governance recognizes that the line between right and wrong is often not as clear as we might like to believe. While Machiavelli does not advocate for wholesale immorality, he suggests that ethical considerations may need to be weighed against the practical requirements of leadership. If breaking a promise or betraying an ally serves the greater good of the state, then the ruler must be prepared to make that difficult choice, even if it comes with moral consequences. Though Machiavelli wrote The Prince over 500 years ago, his ideas remain relevant in the modern world. Politics today is as complex and competitive as it was in Renaissance Italy, and leaders must constantly navigate a landscape full of shifting alliances, international pressures, and competing interests. Whether in corporate leadership, political campaigns, or international diplomacy, the question of how much a leader should be willing to compromise on their principles for the sake of strategic advantage is one that remains at the forefront of modern governance. The rise of global superpowers, the intricacies of trade negotiations, and the balance of military strength all mirror the very struggles that Machiavelli wrote about in his time. In the high-stakes world of international diplomacy, a ruler's ability to maintain power may depend on their ability to break alliances, make deals with unsavory actors, or change their positions as the situation demands. In this sense, the prudent ruler is as much a reality in modern politics as it was in the courts of Renaissance Italy. For instance, consider the behavior of political leaders during times of war or economic crisis. A leader may find it necessary to break a treaty or alliance with a former partner in order to secure resources or military support. The decision may be unpopular with the public or considered a betrayal, but if it strengthens the nation's position, it could be justified as a matter of national interest. Machiavelli would argue that such decisions, though morally questionable, are simply part of the hard choices that a ruler must make in order to achieve their long-term goals. Machiavelli's assertion that a prudent ruler ought not to keep faith when by doing so it would be against his interests is a reminder that politics, in its most strategic form, often requires difficult decisions and sacrifices. Leadership is not a simple matter of following moral rules, but a complex dance of competing interests, loyalties, and power struggles. While Machiavelli's philosophy may seem harsh or even unethical to some, it offers a realistic and pragmatic view of how rulers must navigate the intricate world of power. In the end, it's about survival, and in the world of power, survival often means making choices that don't align with conventional morality. Machiavelli's work encourages us to think critically about the nature of leadership, the complexities of decision-making, and the ethical dilemmas that rulers and leaders face. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the philosophical legacy of Machiavelli and want to continue exploring the unfolding complexities of leadership, strategy, and power, be sure to subscribe to The Unfolding Journey. Together, we'll continue to examine the lessons of history and apply them to the world we live in today. Thanks for joining us on this journey. We look forward to seeing you in the next video. Call to action. If you found this analysis interesting, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss a video. Join our community of curious minds and continue to explore the unfolding journey of history, philosophy, and